I'd like to welcome you to the Springfield Township Board of Trustee meeting. Today is July the 15th, 2015, and I'd like to begin first with the roll call. Mr. Burney?
I do have a question. Is this for the special meeting for the solid waste or the tax?
Well, we're going to have a public hearing, and the first point of discussion will be regarding the solid waste.
Solid waste, okay, great.
Yes, and then the second discussion will be on the tax budget.
Great, I just got to mark these up, and I just wondered.
That's fine.
Mr. Burney?
Present.
Mr. Honolo?
Present.
Ms. McFarland?
Present.
All the trustees are present.
Okay. And then, Mike, if everyone could stand, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Gilbert, can you lead us, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as indicated earlier, we are also having our public hearing this evening. And the first item for discussion regarding the public hearing will be on our solid waste contractual proposal. And this is the second hearing in which we're going to be discussing the solid waste, which is a requirement. And so, Chris, Mr. Gilbert, if you can lead us, please, in the open discussion regarding the solid waste joint contract proposal.
I can. Thank you, Ms. McFarland. As you had mentioned, this is our second hearing regarding this proposal since we actually received the bids. We did have a third meeting previous to actually going out and soliciting for bids. So this technically would be our third meeting, but our actual second meeting since receiving the bids. For those who have seen this before or are already aware of what we're doing, I'll go through this rather quickly. If you have any questions, please stop me, or obviously we'll have time at the end to answer any questions you would have. I guess initially, just so everyone's information, the three communities that went out and solicited bids from waste haulers were Colerain, obviously us, and Ross Township. And this is the section of the Higher Revised Code that authorizes townships to go out and actually contract with solid waste haulers on behalf of township residents. The request for proposal, the benefits, according to the Hamilton County Solid Waste District and others that have done this in the past, it provides communities lower costs for garbage and recycling services, potentially, creates greater accountability over the surcharge fees. It increases community recycling, at least the results have been that since communities have contracted with a solid waste hauler, and it provides greater accountability to residents in terms of now you have an advocate that can ensure that certain things that the waste hauler is responsible for, they actually do. Some of the negatives, obviously, are that it prevents residents from choosing their own waste hauler. Once we contract with a single provider, residents must use that provider. Residents cannot opt out unless under very specific circumstances. The discontinuance of agreements that residents already have with waste haulers obviously will happen once we enter into a particular agreement with a sole provider. And then this particular bid limits bulk items to one item per month, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. The timeline was that we issued the RFP out to waste haulers this spring. The results came in on May 19th. The contracts will have to be awarded by mid-August if we choose to actually move forward with a contract. And then the implementation date, I can't talk this evening, would be April of 2016. We mentioned that it's Colerain, obviously Springfield, and Ross Townships. Currently, these are average rates. Springfield Township residents currently are paying roughly $20.79 per month for garbage pickup. That's unlimited garbage pickup. And then recycling services are on average about $2.50 per month for township residents. And those rates do exclude surcharges and other fees that are associated with a resident's bill. The actual agreement or the proposal before the board this evening is for garbage, recycling, yard waste, and bulk items for once per month. The way the bid was structured was that the default service or the base service would be unlimited garbage collection, which will not exceed, cans shall not exceed 40 pounds each, but you can put unlimited cans out, or bags for that matter. It would be weekly collection. Then the recycling collection would be obviously weekly, and then every resident would get a 65-gallon recycling container as part of the base fee bid. There are optional discount services, which would be limited to a 96-gallon garbage cart. If you chose the minimal service or the limited service, you would be restricted to whatever you can fit into that can that's provided, that 96-gallon can. You would also, at the same time, get a 65-gallon recycling container as well. Included in that, as we mentioned, would be one bulk item per month. They do allow backyard service for those individuals that request it at an additional fee, but if you have a demonstrated disability need through the ADA, they can provide that service to you at no charge. There are restrictions to that. This bid also restricts the hours of pickup between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. within residential subdivisions. The waste hauler will bill all residents directly. So from a resident perspective, they wouldn't see any difference than what's happening now with the particular bills. The waste hauler will send the invoice directly to them, and all the same restrictions apply and issues apply, late fees and things of that nature that you may see on your current bill. The exemptions for people that may be able to opt out, obviously, some of these are probably more applicable to Colerain and Ross Townships because they do have farms and they have the other legal means to dispose of waste. So some working farms can opt out, as well as if an employer provides a disposal outlet for a particular employee and that resident can verify that, then they can opt out and if they're able to take their waste to their actual employer. And the base fee is a fixed at time of bid, meaning no other environmental fees or surcharges will apply. Fuel cost adjustment, this is one thing we talk about when in reference to accountability. Right now, a particular resident with a contract with a waste hauler really has no control over how they do surcharges or fuel surcharges and fees. This will create a formula by which we can control how those surcharges and fees are established. And the first bid for the first year actually includes that in it, so there wouldn't be any additional fees beyond that. In future years, those fees could be slightly adjusted based on our formula that we've established. Obviously, everyone is probably familiar with what are acceptable recyclable materials. Benefits of recycling, we know what those are, but in addition, Springfield Township currently is about 8% recycling rate per actual waste that's disposed of. They say when a community goes to an actual contract with a waste hauler, they can go up to as much as 30 to 40%. The bid results, we actually received bids from Rumpke, Bestway, and Republic. The lowest bidder was Rumpke. I know these are difficult to see, but essentially what it's showing is that the base unlimited price, which is unlimited garbage collection and recycling services in one bulk item per month, came to be for the 2016-2017 year $16.20 a month, which reflects a little over $7 a month savings beyond the average price that residents are currently being charged. Again, that's an average price that we're comparing it against, so some people may be a little higher, some people may be a little lower, but on average it looks like it's going to be between an $85 to $90 annual savings for residents by going with the lowest bidder, which was Rumpke. The actual limited service that we spoke of, which is actually one 95-gallon container and one 65-gallon recycling container, if you can manage to include all of your waste within those two containers per month, your cost would be as low as $12.95 per month. So that's a significant savings beyond what some people are currently paying. The next steps would be that the Board of Trustees would have to make this decision no later than August 15th according to the bid specifications that were issued. And again, if we're awarded, the contract would start April 2016. Obviously, some of the benefits that we didn't know would be prior to bidding is that probably 90-95% of the townships currently using Rumpke. Being that Rumpke was the lowest bidder, really the only difference that residents would see, hopefully, would be a bill that's significantly lower than they're paying now. So that concludes the presentation. I know I went through that quickly, being that this is the second public hearing, but obviously I'd be happy to entertain any questions at this time.
Well, Chris, the other difference is that they would, residents would be getting a recycling bin that they're not getting now, that big one.
Right, so right now, they're paying almost $20 on average for just garbage. Whereas under this contract, you could be paying $16 for garbage and recycling, or even as low as $13 a month for garbage and recycling if you go with the limited service.
Right.
So more service for less cost.
The limited service, they give you the 95-gallon can.
Correct.
Which is a big,
Yes. And in another situation, if you don't take the limited service, the actual garbage can and the unlimited is an additional $250 a month. If you don't have to use their can, but if you want to, it would be $250 a month.
I know, as I stated in our earlier meeting last month, I think the best news is the fact that we're going to be saving our residents about $7.09 a month, and
At a minimum.
at a minimum, exactly. And I had concerns initially regarding if it was going to only save us $2 to $3, was it even worthwhile? But I think that's a good savings, a costly savings for the residents here in our township. So I think that's a good thing for us. And I appreciate all the work that you've done and the rest of the group, to bring this opportunity to the residents here in Springfield Township. Okay. Any other thoughts? Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree, it's saving over 30% a month.
Do we have any comments from the audience or any questions? Yes. Yes, could you step to the podium, please?
I do have a couple comments or questions. The opt-out, you're saying only if your employer allows you to?
Right. Residents generally wouldn't be allowed to opt out unless they meet certain specifications that are outlined in the bid. If you're a working farm where you have other legal means to dispose of the waste, and again, I guess I was remiss in indicating, this only applies to residential dwelling units, 4 units or less. So single family or multifamily, no more than 4 units, this would apply to. So, or if you have an employer who allows you to dispose of their waste at their site, then you could opt out. But otherwise, no, you'd be required to participate in the program.
So you're actually saying that unless you have your employer, you are required to sign up for this and pay for it?
Yes, I'm assuming all residents have garbage collection now anyway, or at least they should.
Well, yes and no. There's a couple of different circumstances that I'm aware of where people are not putting their garbage out or they're sharing with a neighbor and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
and in order to actually receive bids in this manner and receive the bids that were, I guess, so favorable financially, the waste hauler is going to require that it be sort of an all-in situation, that all residents are being required to participate. Otherwise, you're not going to get as bid as favorable as what you see in the.
The other concern I have, and probably because we live in the condos, these sizes of garbage cans are huge. Some people have very small garages and some have no garages. So that becomes an issue as far as where that's going to be stored.
Well, as I said, if you choose the unlimited service, you don't have to utilize a Rumpke garbage can. You can utilize any waste can that you want. If you choose the limited service, you will be provided a 96-gallon cart by Rumpke. However, I'm sure that we can work out an issue where you can actually get a smaller Rumpke cart if you choose. I don't think that they're going to require people to have a 96-gallon if you only want a 65-gallon per se. But then you are limited to whatever you can fit within that smaller can if you choose the limited service.
Okay. And the other question I have, since we've got the recycling here, which I know I use, and from what the reports I've read is used a lot, is this going to continue? Because it won't be necessary if you have the recycling.
You're absolutely right. I think, and I'll have to talk to the board about it, but I think the idea would be that we would reduce what we have on site, maybe down to 1, 2 at the most dumpsters, because I guess you're right that it would tell you that if we have recycling containers,
Right.
most people will do it at the curb as opposed to bringing it here. So, yeah, the idea was that we would reduce these.
You make a good point. And one other thing, I mean, I think we're at about 9% recycling right now, and we believe that with the larger cans that the residents will have, it's probably based on other communities, it'll probably go up somewhere around 30%. So the recycling's going to probably triple at least in what we're doing right now. So
That's good.
we will reduce what's out there, but we won't get rid of it.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes. Gentleman in the front row, and then the gentleman in the back. You can follow him.
Jim Faber. Is the decision with regards to unlimited versus the
The reduced service.
Limited,
reduced, is that an annual decision that has to be made, or is that something that can be, can you change that at some point during the year, or?
You can change it.
You can, okay.
Okay. The gentleman, yes.
My name is Gary Fredensberg. I live at 9290 Bridge Creek Drive. I've had several emails with Chris, and he's answered most of my questions, and I guess I just wanted to bring up that we've spoke via email that this does include condominiums, even though the difference between multifamily dwellings and multifamily communities, I guess, is what you're talking
Correct,
about.
yeah, we consider condominium single family.
Yeah.
We consider them attached single family, I
Right.
guess, from a developer perspective.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to say is that, as I understand it, garbage bags will not be allowed. People will not be able to put garbage bags out,
Not if you have a limited service.
not if you have limited service.
Right, if you have
with unlimited, you can put as many bags, as long as they don't weigh over 40 pounds, you can put as many bags as you want out.
So the driver going around is going to know who has limited, who has unlimited.
That'll be up for the way.
That'd be up to Rumpke to know
They'll have
that.
to figure out how they're gonna do that, Mia.
Okay. And then if there's garbage bags left out because they didn't pick it up, whose responsibility is it then? Does the township come around and make sure that people are we just going to have garbage?
That's
That'll be the
Rumpke's
homeowner's
responsibility.
So Rumpke is going to go
But you
ahead.
can let Chris know, and we can let them know, and they'll have to come back and get it, but we haven't, I've used Rumpke for over 10 years, and I haven't had a problem with them not taking things.
Well, and I've used Rumpke probably that long or longer, and I don't think that the problem's been in the past, but we're kind of introducing a potential problem. And I know the city of Cincinnati, they require certain things, and they're even penalizing people, so I didn't know if we're going to enter in that
The
kind
good news is, we're not the city of
Yeah, well,
Cincinnati.
exactly.
That's the best news, yeah.
Okay,
In theory, the way we set up this RFP and this bidding process as well as this program is that minimal changes to what residents experience now with their individual contracts, but hopefully because of economies of scale at a significantly reduced price, which is evident, I think, in the bids. But the idea was not to make it substantially different
Okay.
than what residents experience.
okay. So the statement you made earlier about if you don't really want the 95-gallon garbage container, which would take me about 2 months to fill, I think, if I use the recycling, that will be in the letter somehow saying this is how you arrange to make sure you get a smaller.
Yeah, we'll work that out with the waste with Rumpke.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. This gentleman, and then we'll have.
My name's Jacob Williams, and I'm a resident, 9530 Costa Drive. This isn't the main reason why I came here today, but in your description of this, Mr. Gilbert, just about every frame had the word surcharge on it, and we all know that surcharge can sometimes turn into a four-letter word. How will you guys be able to make sure it doesn't happen in this case when you're spouting how this is going to be a cost savings? You don't know because the surcharge is still a question mark that you guys have no control over what may end up being.
No, we actually do. We have more control over it in this process than the residents do individually now with their contracts. Right now, the fuel surcharge that you get charged by Rumpke, whoever your waste hauler is, they can make up whatever number they want. In this particular scenario, under contract, it has a formula by which they can do fuel surcharges. We established the formula, so they can't play with it. We know what the fuel charge is going to be if there is one. The first year, there won't be one. It's included in the price. There are no additional charges other than fuel cost adjustments, which we control the formula by which that happens.
I drove a lot of truck over the road over the years, and I know that surcharge can be a funny way where it can be used to make up for losses in another area, we'll just tack on some more surcharge. But if the good people of your township are good with it, then I'm good with it.
Well,
So
you're absolutely right. As you know, they charge you more when gas goes up. They don't charge you less when gas goes down.
thank you.
This formula actually holds their feet to the fire as to how they do it.
That's what we need, accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, good question. Yes, you have a question?
Sherry Steveno, just a couple questions about the contract. I guess I didn't see it on the slides. What is the term of what you're proposing here?
It's, 5 years.
And then the renewal would be renegotiated, or are there some fixed clauses? Go back out to bid at that point then? So the price is fixed for 5 years?
Yeah, well, in each term is fixed. So in 2016-17, it's 1620. The next year it goes to 1650. The third year, 1685. The fourth year, 1720, and the fifth year, 1755, which still reflects a pretty significant savings over the current average price.
Okay. And how does it work with the other townships then? So, I mean, the proposal or the bid that you have right now depends on all 3 townships cooperating and approving it. So if one of the other townships would opt out, where does that leave Springfield Township?
We would sort of be at the mercy of the waste hauler, whether they'd want to continue with this, or we could go out to bid on our own.
So, and when are Colerain and Ross approving then as
They
well?
would have to approve by the same time we do, by at least August 15th.
Oh, okay. And then the contract, could you post that on the township's website so we could actually look at the details then before it's approved? That'd be great. Thank you.
Does there anyone else have any questions? Okay. Seeing no one else has any questions, we'll move next on to our next public hearing, which is,
We need to close this one.
we need to close the public hearing regarding the solid waste contractual proposal. We need a
So
motion.
moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is closed.
Okay, so the public hearing now that we're going to open up is regarding our tax budget. And this is, I'm going to turn this part of the hearing over to Mr. Henningkamp, but I also just want to say that the tax budget for 2016 is in compliance with our Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.28 and 5705.30, and it's an annual proposed tax budget. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Henningkamp.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland. As you mentioned, this is a requirement of the Ohio Revised Code, something that we do every July of each year. And this actually, it's the tax budget, it's a little misnamed somewhat and causes a little bit of confusion, but this is actually the start of our budget process. This particular document is actually more of an accounting document than it is a planning or a policy document. So in enacting this, the board is not allocating money specifically to line items. Basically what this process is a recap of actuals for 2013, actuals in terms of revenues and expenditures for 2014, actuals for the first half of 2015, and then estimates for the second half of 2015, and estimates for the entire year of 2016. Once the board approves this, we send this document to the county, and they actually approve it. They send us back a certificate, and once we receive the certificate, what that's basically telling us is here are the amounts established that you can now budget. You can now allocate these monies towards these specific purposes. So, I think a lot of times when people think the budget, we don't spend a whole lot of time going line item by line item. They think, wow, they went through that fairly quick. We go through this, but this is actually the initial step in the process, not the final step. So a little bit of confusion from that standpoint. I know the board has copies of it. There really is very little change as you go through the document. What we're estimating for the second half of the 15 and for all of 16, pretty much in line with what our actuals were for both 13 and 14. About the only significant change would be in the revenue section for the general fund. some changes reflecting additional revenue as a result of the JEDS tax. But other than that, things pretty much in line with what you've seen over the years. We went obviously through a lot of change in the last 5 or 6 years and sort of repositioning ourselves with all of the cuts and all of the things. And I think what you're seeing in this particular tax budget is sort of the stability of that. Those changes have been made. We're not proposing any more changes. Our personnel, which is the lion's share of our cost, is projected to stay about where it is. So fairly stable, pretty consistent. So I don't have a whole lot a lot else to go through it. As I said, it's more really of an accounting document. About the only thing I might note is, as you look and you kind of follow one other major change, and this was something that we've anticipated and sort of projected all along, is you're seeing fund balances. Projected fund balances are certainly much less than they were. If you start at 2013 and look backward, you're seeing the reduction of those fund balances because we've spent some of those savings in the years knowing the onslaught that was coming. So we're spending down some of our revenues. You're seeing some of that JEDS money now being projected to come in to make up a little bit for that in 16, but still some work to be done, as we're well aware and have talked at length about. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I have, and certainly be happy to answer any questions. Kim Cox, our finance director, is also here. Kim spent the lion's share of the last month putting this together. Between the two of us, we'll be happy to answer any questions the board has.
And once this hearing is over and we complete the necessary requirements as we should, then it'll be up on our website.
It will be. It'll be sent to the
sent
to the county. It's been made available since, I think, July the 6th. What was the date that it has to be available? 10 days.
Okay.
It's been available for review.
Okay.
And there is a resolution later in the agenda where
Right.
you would actually be taking action on it, so.
Any questions, Mr.
I have no questions.
I don't have any questions.
Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions about the proposed tax budget for 2016? Okay, seeing none, need a motion?
To adjourn this part of
Yeah, the public hearing, yes.
So moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Meeting's adjourned.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, we're going back to our meeting. Agenda, approval of minutes. We had a regular session on May,
Open this.
please.
Don't we need to open the regular meeting now? No?
You're in it.
No, we're still in it.
Okay, we're still in the regular meeting.
Right. Approval of minutes from the regular session on May the 12th, 2015. The regular work sessions on April the 28th, 2015. Regular work sessions on May the 26th, 2015. Special meeting on May the 19th, 2015. Need
So
a
moved.
motion.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next is our financial report. Mr. Burning, our fiscal officer, you can give us a financial report, please?
Yes, I may. For the month ending June 30th, 2015, the township expenditures were $1,401,387.14, and the receipts were a whopping $459,925.96. That has an ending cash balance of $16,972,034.68. This includes obligations for expenditures, payroll, regular operating costs, ongoing capital improvement projects, and investments. But what I do need is a motion to approve receipts, warrants, payroll expenditures, updated and current revenues for the period ending June 30th, 2015.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and I just want everyone to know that financial reports are available for viewing at the administration's offices here, weekdays during regular business hours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burning.
Thank you.
Your reports are always so concise, as always.
Thank you, Kim.
Our next activity on our agenda is the departmental action and discussion items, which will be from Mr. Henningcamp, our township administrator.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland. Just two action items. One, we have a request to approve a liquor permit. This is for Cincinnati Concession doing business at Colping Park at 10303 Mill Road. I don't believe there's any objection to this permit from the police department.
There's no objection, no
I think
issues.
so I would recommend that we request a motion from the board to authorize the customary notice to the Division of Liquor Control that there are no objections.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Second action item I have is to add 4 approved caterers to our approved caterer list for the Grove Banquet Hall. One would be Alma's Kitchen, Inc. The second would be Golden Rule Catering. The third would be Rob's Restaurant. And the fourth would be Taste the World in Cincy, with the stipulation that the final one, that Taste the World in Cincy, be contingent on them making a minor revision to their insurance certificate. I think it was just an oversight on their submission, so we just want to make sure that they actually list the restaurant on their certificate. And once that happens, I would recommend that all 4 of those be added to our approved caterer list. And need a motion
So
to do
moved.
so.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just think it's great that we're going to give our, any resident that wants to use that home more options as far as catering. We started off with a small list of vendors, and we're expanding, and depending on the event.
We're about at the limit.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Don't panic, they're not here for you.
Oh, darn it.
Bring him out, nobody knows what we're talking about. We can see it. Just a couple of discussion items. Just wanted to let the board know, back, I think it might have been April or May, we entered into an agreement with the St. Francis Group as a preferred developer to begin working on the Order Nursery property. We're making some revisions to that agreement to kind of go into the next phase, which is involving more of the master planning, more of the actual marketing, and then potentially the sale of that property. I had hoped there was a chance we would have that agreement done. We're still working through some revisions, so at this point, it looks like it might be the work session later this month or our August meeting. So we are making progress in that regard, but not quite there yet. Also wanted to mention that we do have a series of resolutions coming up at the next part of our meeting. One of those resolutions is another item that we've talked about for, I know 2 or 3 months during our work sessions, and that is issues dealing with specifically trees in the right-of-way, but this resolution actually does deal with trees in the township right-of-way. This is something we've kind of dealt with on a case-by-case basis over the years. However, it's gotten to the point with the ash tree and the destruction of the ash tree with the emerald ash borer. We have a lot of dying trees in the right-of-way that are presenting a hazard to them. Off and on, over the years, we've also gotten requests from residents to plant things in the right-of-way, and generally, we've followed some guidelines that we've established in-house to do so, but we've never formally adopted those. This resolution does that. It's, I know, something that Laura has spent probably the better part of the last 2 or 3 months making this a very comprehensive document. It is very thorough, deals with a lot of different situations, but unfortunately, it's becoming a big issue. There's probably, Mike, what do we figure, close to 400? 400 trees that are dying in the right-of-way right now, most of ash, but you've got some maple and...
You've got some maple, you have some oak,
Right.
wide variety.
So some of them pretty sizable, so becoming a safety hazard is something we want to address and do so comprehensively. And then I think the good part of this is that not only does this resolution deal with removing the ones in the right-of-way, but it also talks about the process if somebody wants to request to plant something in the right-of-way, a way that they can do that. Certain trees are better than others, and then we've documented that and we're aware of it and kind of avoid repeating some of the issues that we've got going on right now. So I don't know if the board has any questions. Obviously, this is a resolution later for for the agenda, but just wanted to kind of touch base on that.
Thanks for clarifying that, because we certainly don't want to be in a position where a huge tree falls over on somebody's car or injures an individual, as we've had in this past spring. I think when one of the trees fell over and hit a passenger in a car and they were killed. So whatever we can do.
That was in the city.
That was
yes.
in the city,
Yep.
right, was not in the township. I just think we are being proactive and trying to stay ahead of that curve.
Well, and I had a discussion with Laura about this, and Laura, I had a chance to read the resolution, and I think that I want to say she put a lot of time and thought into this, and we've tried to make it in places where it can be as unrestrictive as possible. We do that. If it's something, though, that's particularly, it's a life safety issue, it's something that could threaten the public safety, then it is more restrictive, including the right that the township can impose fines and can go out and actually take down dangerous trees if they have to on our own. So it's, I think a lot of time and effort's gone into it. It's a difficult area, and it's unfortunately because of some of the diseases and insects that have, come into our region, the emerald ash borer is just, millions and millions of trees across Ohio, really the whole Midwest are dying from this. It's a huge issue that's going to affect every property owner, almost, and certainly all governments. So I think it's a good thing that we need to get in place now, and it's something we're going to be dealing with more as the full impact of this insect gets spread across the area.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, just one other quick discussion item is just to remind the board there, at our work session, the board made motions to authorize us to submit 4 SKIP applications. These are 4 projects for resurfacing of township roads. You do have 4. What the SKIP process requires is that there be a individual resolution for each project. So later in the agenda as well, you'll have 4 projects. These projects: Burlington Meadows subdivision, the Glen Forest resurfacing project, Hempstead Drive and Melanie Lane, and the Kemper Mill Village resurfacing project. So again, later in our agenda. Our guest is anxiously waiting, so I'm going to skip ahead and go right to our personnel update. Typically, we go through this and talk about the activity in the month, and it's been our practice in recent months. We try to, where we have new employees, try to bring those individuals in so the board and public can meet them. In this case, we have an existing employee, Police Officer Jim Sheeler, but Jim has taken on the role as the canine officer, and we want to introduce our new canine to the board and to the public. And I'll turn things over to Chief Browder. And Chief, if you could give us a little more details about Officer Sheeler and his new sidekick, Paco.
Thank you, Mr. Hennekamp. We're going to introduce here, just if you want to come on in, Jim. This is Police Officer Jim Sheeler and his new canine partner. His name is Paco. Paco is just over a year old. He is a German Shepherd. He just completed 14 weeks of training with the city of Cincinnati. Paco is a dual-trained police dog, meaning that he does patrol duties where he can track individuals, locate missing persons, locate evidence, and he is also trained in narcotics detection. So he is going to be a fine addition to our police department. One thing I wanted to note that we received a generous donation of Paco from the Matt Haverkamp Foundation, so we were able to secure Paco at zero cost. Along with that, the 14 weeks of training was graciously provided by nationally known canine handlers from the city of Cincinnati. So we are very fortunate to be able to, obtain our new officer at very zero cost. Officer Sheeler has been with us for a number of years. Officer Sheeler actually started with us as a teenager in our Explorer program. So Officer Sheeler is another example of how successful our Explorer program has been.
Chief, our canine program, we've had, gosh, for probably 20-plus
20
years.
20-plus
Very, very
years.
successful. and
Extremely successful.
Very, very helpful,
Absolutely.
not only for us, but for our neighboring communities.
That's correct. We're requested it as far as mutual aid, and in turn, when we don't have canines that are on duty at the time, they return by allowing us to use their canines. So it's a very successful program.
Chief, if we had to purchase the dog, 7, 8, 10,000, somewhere in that range?
Seven or 8,000 for the dog, and the training would be another $10,000 on top of the cost of the dog. So substantial savings to the residents of the township for such a valuable tool.
Thank you, Officer Schilling, and your dog. Yes,
And Paco.
yes.
Dying to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, and our service department also did want to introduce one of our new employees, and it is Richard Riggs. Richard joins us as a full-time laborer, and Mike, I don't know if you wanted to just make a few comments about Richard.
Yeah, Rick comes over to us from Hamilton County Engineers, where he had 13 years of experience. It's out on the road. He's got snow and ice experience, asphalt, blacktop, and that. We are very excited to have Rick as part of the team, and look forward to having a long career at the township.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Welcome.
And I just want to also reiterate that the position has always been the position there. It's not a new position that we've created. So when you see individuals coming into our system, it's normally because of attrition or someone's relocated. So we're not creating new positions. So he's filling a vacant position, and we are we're so great to have you with us. Welcome aboard.
Gwen, that's a good comment. Really, everything pretty much for the rest of this year and for the foreseeable future, we've met as staff really looking at 5-year staffing plans. We're staffed about where we think we need to be for the 5 years. I mean, we've made the changes. We're still working to try to do some collaborative things. We're still utilizing. We've got some programs with police and fire working together. We're looking at some possible things of how we can do that in the service department as well. So, we know what the budget picture is going to look like, not only for the next year or two, but also 5 and even looking down the road further than that. And we feel like we're about right-sized. Unfortunately, our demand for service continues to increase, so that's going to be the challenge. But, we know budget-wise right now, we feel like, this is about where we need to be and where we're going to be. So a very good point as we go through this monthly. This is not adding new positions. This is simply filling vacant positions. And a lot of these positions are, summer help that we talk about. I think typically you do see a fair amount of churn in the part-time fire service. That's just the way it works. As part-timers get full-time jobs, they move on, and, you do see some activity there. And then we are going through kind of an abnormally high amount of retirements where, we've had employees that have been with us, 30, 35 years, just as we had with Chief Heimpolt, 40 years of service. And so, it's just that it's the timing. We have a lot of people that have been with us a long time that were hired about the same time. So you're seeing a little bit of that activity, but that's what's going on. Next month, we will bring in Joe Plackey, who is one of our new full-time paramedic firefighters, as well as John Busing, so we'll have them with us next month. But also wanted to mention that I did accept the resignation of George Seibel as a part-time EMT firefighter effective July 1st. Linda Kramer in our police department as an administrative assistant. Linda is also part-time. Her effective date was June 19th, 2015. We did promote Kevin Woodruff from a part-time police officer to a full-time police officer. Effective date of his promotion was June 20th. Accepted the resignation of one of our building monitors back in our senior center, Brian Hall, effective date July 5th. And the resignation of one of our seasonal laborers, Luke Richards, and the effective date for Mr. Richards' resignation was July the 2nd. The next thing I have is few months ago, I guess it's been a month ago, at one of our work sessions, we discussed that we had received a request from a resident on Meadow Trail Court regarding a adding a parking restriction. Meadow Trail comes off of Clemray and has kind of a sharp bend as you go around. And there's been some parking along that bend, which creates a sight distance issue, and this resident was requesting that we look into posting a portion of Meadow Trail Court as no parking. As is our customary practice, what we typically do is have our police chief, police department look at it, as well as our service department look at it, have them review it, take a look at the traffic manuals that we utilize to see if it's in compliance with that, or if we're out of compliance in something like that, and then we notify the affected residents. And so we don't take action normally, and tonight's the night we do have that on the agenda, and I know the board has seen, the proposal. We have talked about this, I think, initially with staff. We were proposing, the first area was a much larger restricted area, after asking both Chief Router and Service Director Gold to go out and take another look at it. I think we've all are in concurrent that we can significantly reduce that area to limit the restriction. I think our recommendation would be to limit that restriction to pretty much just on the curve portion of the street. I would say it's probably about half of what it was initially, and we think that meets the intent and would still, handle the sight distance issue. So that's kind of where we are. I know there's some residents that are here, and this is the portion of the meeting where we would want to hear comments, both pro and con, from that before the board takes action.
Okay. So what I would like just to, for those residents that are here this evening, I'd like to hear your thoughts and comments as well. I understand, we're always looking at safety issues in our community and keeping not only our children safe, but our adults as well. So if there's anyone here this evening regarding this area, would you please step to the podium and share what your thoughts and comments are about the proposal? Yes, sir.
My name's Jim Quinn. I live at 537 Meadow Trail, and I've seen the proposal, and I think it's a good idea. The Meadow Trail has sort of turned over since my children grew up, and there's a whole lot of very young children, the 2 to 7 kind of age, a lot of them, 40, 50, something like that. And it's a court. It is a dead end, and so the kids play in the street. And it's difficult to see when there are a lot of cars parked. And I've also seen some of them are large minivans, that pickup trucks, that sort of thing. It's hard to see. I think it's a good idea, and I support it. I don't think it's an undue burden on any individuals for under the purpose of safety for the kids. That's where I'm coming from.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Is there anyone else?
Hello there. My name is
Hello.
Katie Siefker. Live at 520 Meadow Trail, so basically the house on that bend. So we recently moved in, and we are one of the families that have, a child right now, more in the future. So obviously safety is important to us as well. But I would like to separate this argument and break it down a little more. I've heard that there is a visibility requirement for 155 feet. Is that correct? Yes?
That is correct, yes.
And based on what you sent me, that's based on speed? That could be reduced or increased based on
Yes,
speed?
the engineering of Meadow Trail Court calls
Exactly.
for 155 feet because the speed limit is 25 miles per hour.
Okay. So some variables that can increase or decrease, that would be based on speed and based on how much we would restrict the parking. So I think there's different things that can go into the equation to affect how little or how much that we would restrict. So I also know yes, safety is priority, but I also know there's a lot of people in the neighborhood that have big family parties, and we still need places to park. And especially on the inside curve, that's the biggest area on that whole street that does not have, it's like our driveway, that's it. So there's very little interruptions in that area, so that's also a place where people have been parking. So what we did just before I came here, trying to seek a nice merriment between the two, where it's both safe, but it accommodates the parking for many of the people on that street for parties that they have through the year. I can pass these pictures around, but verbally, what I would be proposing would be restricting parking from like the north side of our driveway, where our mailbox is, to where the proposed red line ends today. We had two of our vehicles. I parked one on one side, parked one on the other, and I stood out in the street and took a picture. From my pictures, I feel that we'd have enough visibility to meet the need. My other recommendation would be we could reduce the speed limit to 15. There are some vehicles that I think go far over this 25 miles per hour anyway. I would like to see that reduced. They come flying through the curb starting at Clemray. So understanding that both speed and the distance restricted can go into the equation, I would like to change both to meet both safety and accommodate the parking for the street. So instead of just going on one way, just the parking only, I think both would be the best wholesome solution.
So your proposal would be to reduce the restrictions to about half of what it is now, is that?
Yeah, can I show you the picture?
Yes.
Certainly.
Because we have two different pictures here, so.
This is one that I was sent from Mike on the link, so I think you can look at that
Originally,
one. Yep.
okay.
Right.
So what I would like, what I'm thinking would be the
That's the
best.
second one, I think.
Those are not what she sent.
This is
This
just
is-
what I pulled from the
Right,
link
right.
today.
Right.
Okay.
This is,
This is a different picture of the same thing.
Yeah. So I think the restriction, it was around here to here, obviously not our driveway. But I think
Okay.
that would meet the need. Here is the view from each direction. We took two of our vehicles and put them in those areas. And we can see quite a bit, and I think especially even if the speed limit reduced to 50, because there's people that fly by.
Well, I don't
We can
disagree that
still
reducing
see
the
quite a
speed
bit.
limit might help, but the only problem is I live on a cul-de-sac too, and the speed limit's actually 35, and there's still kids driving up and down the street at 50 miles an hour. So I'm not saying that 15 wouldn't help.
Understand?
It just,
But-
So
just
here's
as a
the.
quick side note, we don't have the authority to change the speed limit. We must use what the
I didn't think so.
Yeah, we've got to go with the
It's
Ohio
state
traffic.
law.
On speed limit posted for the design.
have you seen this one?
The
Proposal.
Township doesn't have that.
We looked at, it's similar, but,
Just a little bit longer.
right.
Instead of stopping here, it just goes to here.
I understand, but that's where it's like, I'm seeing this is a lot of restricted parking, so that's
First,
why.
this one is out.
Which one's out?
This one was the original, so we looked at how, if we
No,
could.
that's actually
This
the
this
same.
Oh,
was
this was
the
the
original
same.
one.
Oh, okay.
So
Here we
regardless
go.
of original, I'm just trying to use a map.
These two are
Right.
exactly the
Where,
same.
where these two,
Okay.
as you see these views, we still have quite a bit of visibility on the street. And where the two vehicles are parked, one is right here, and the other one is right there, right where that stops. And the other one is just.
Have you seen this one, Mike?
The only concern that I would have is the fact that if somebody walks out in front of one of these cars, there's, I mean,
Because
you
this
have
one's right on the
visibility, but
curve.
you're still seeing a
That's
car
our,
here.
that's our driveway.
Which one is your driveway?
Our
Between here?
driveway is right in the
Right.
middle, so there's
Okay.
no parking there, there's no driving there, because there's, that distance right there, no one's gonna dip in.
So you're talking about going from
Having
here
the-
to
yes.
here.
Yes. And this is what it looks like on the street, just took these
This is
pictures.
an actual picture with
I
the
just-
two,
I took
one on
that
each
about 2
side.
hours ago, yes.
Okay.
Exactly where those are.
Okay. I think we can go back and look at that,
Yeah,
revisit that.
we can look at it. I
Let's
mean-
revisit that. Would you give us an opportunity to
Absolutely.
revisit that?
Yeah.
Thank you for the proposal.
So just so I'm clear, what you're
Here you go.
saying,
Here, Joe, look at this.
Right, but this one here,
agrees with.
She wants to stop it here
With
Here.
this
Yeah.
line.
instead of here.
Right.
And where this vehicle is, it agrees with where you've already proposed stopping it, or starting.
that's what I thought. This one is down there.
Yeah, so this agrees.
This one wouldn't be there if there was a parking ban.
No, it would be there.
It's
That-
just at the end of
We
this,
just-
Joe, it's right here.
Oh, it's past that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
And
the
what
the
she-
tail of
It's
this,
just past that
the
point.
tail of
Right.
this.
And the other
starts
car
with-
that you see on there is
Yeah.
right here.
I
so-
got you.
So basically, the only change from proposal is being able to park right immediately in front of our house.
You would start it, Katie, a little bit more west. Right.
Right here.
You'd be
Gotcha,
coming
okay,
from there.
I understand now.
Pushing it a little bit more southwest.
This is the view, if we were parking by our mailbox, and obviously, we still
still
see
see.
people over here.
Right.
That is this house right here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still quite a bit of visibility, so.
Okay.
that's
Okay.
why.
Thank you. I understand
Thank you
that.
so much. We can take this and review it, Mike?
It's completely the board's
Okay. Let's
decision.
look at it.
There is a
discuss it some more.
resolution on the agenda, so if they're
Right.
not going to take action on what's been proposed, then you wouldn't
I'd like to
act on
research
that.
it a little bit more.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't act on that
We'll look
resolution.
at it.
I think
Yeah.
that would
Is there
not-
anyone else regarding this area of town? Yes, in the township?
Good evening. I'm
Good
Chris
evening.
Schlichter. I live at 525 Clemray Drive. Actually, they are my neighbors. I'm also right there on the corner. You could probably see my house in the pictures that were shared. I definitely agree with the premise of the idea. I want to keep the kids safe, especially because half of the 50 kids in the neighborhood are mine. So I do appreciate all of my neighbors coming out and trying to protect my kids that are crossing the street, because I'm not being a very good parent. But besides that, I just want to add to really Katie's recommendation that I'd like to put, if we can't reduce the speed limit, can we at least add a sign to the proposal to say, slow down, kids at play, or whatever the usual verbiage is for kids at play signage.
That's something
Well, in the
Can we
past,
do
we've
that?
not done that. The reason is that people tend to ignore them if you put those up. I mean, unless, and that's been our policy, that we don't put those up because they're not, people don't look at them, they don't pay attention to them. We would do the ones for like blind children, you've seen those are different people. Yeah, definitely.
Just so you know, I mean, if your neighbors and you, or if it's a cul-de-sac, you're driving on it most of the time. So, I mean, most people should understand that you have kids in the neighborhood anyway, and maybe if you all got together and talked about the fact that, hey, look, we need to be a little more careful on the street because there are a bunch of young children on the street, could you please tell your 16-year-old son to please, obey the speed limit or whatever?
And sir, I do agree that our neighbors do a great job of taking care of our kids as a respective community. It's some of the younger teens who bring in their own teens now, who may not have any idea that there are younger kids in the neighborhood, especially the kids now during the college time when they're home from college and their college friends are coming over to visit them. Again, they're not necessarily paying attention to the rules. It would just make us feel safer, a little safer as parents. I can go out there to Sam's and Costco and buy a nice little sign and put it up in somebody's yard, but I'd feel a little safer if I knew there was a sign, a commitment, a showing from the township saying, hey guys, this is a community that we're trying to raise some young children in.
Let me just elaborate on it. I mean, our policy is based on the fact that ODOT, the Ohio Department of Transportation, absolutely discourages those. And they haven't banned them. They actually debated banning them a couple of years ago, because what they find is every neighborhood wants them then, right? So it's every 25 feet, you'll see that sign, and it becomes like the warning labels on any product you buy, right? No one looks at it. So it actually, they feel becomes more of a danger, and ODOT did a pretty significant study about, I'm getting old now, is it 10 years ago at this point?
I think you're correct.
And they came out very strongly and said they did not want jurisdictions to post that sort of sign, that their research indicated they were more dangerous than not. So at that point, we said, no, we would not put those signs up for that reason. I don't think I know it makes you feel better, but I don't think it solves your problem, and their study said that.
So versus the more cost-effective solution, then, I would like to propose consideration of a sidewalk.
sidewalks are typically done through assessment. I mean, that would have to be a petition and a assessment project, something we could look into.
So the homeowners pay for that. Each one pays for their own sidewalk in front of their house, is the way that works, yeah. That's what I thought,
That's something we can look into.
Okay.
And educate the community as well. But I did like one statement that you made earlier, which is putting the responsibility back on the parents, of the kids, the teenagers, or the kids, or even the parents themselves as adults. This is our neighborhood, this is your neighborhood, and if you have teenagers and they're just getting their license, you have to drive carefully, period. Just adhere to the law and the safety in the community, and that, to me, is very effective as well. I think we can look at the possibility of a sidewalk. We can look into that.
Maybe what I would suggest, Gwen, is, and Chris, I think, obviously the board knows this is my neighborhood as well. I live on the end of Clemray, so I'm pretty familiar with the situation. There are a lot of kids. I mean, the subdivision has gone through sort of several, evolutions of, no kids to a lot of young kids right now, and it's great because the kids are outside, they're playing ball, and I think for the most part, most people, do go really slow. They're aware of it. They know, especially at that intersection, there are just a lot of little guys crossing and running and chasing balls and doing things. But there's a couple of folks that don't, and a few that live back there that go a lot faster than they should. And, and then you do have, like you said, the teenagers where they have a friend coming over and they don't know, and kids tend to drive a little faster than normal. So maybe what I would suggest is maybe we try to get the whole neighborhood together. We could certainly do it somewhere at somebody's house back there, or even here at the township, and discuss that issue, a lot of different issues, and maybe come back with something a little bit more comprehensive.
I agree.
That everybody's, on board with. I get entirely what you're asking for with a sign. The problem is every neighborhood wants them then. And not only do you then putting signs up throughout the township, but I don't really think, people don't follow stop signs. They don't, they go through all kinds of rules already. I don't think it'll have that effect. It makes you feel peace of mind, but it has no enforcement capability, and I think it doesn't really do what we're talking about. But sidewalks could be a good idea if everybody's on board with it. So
I like the idea of meeting and discussing
take this under advisement.
Certain strategies. Yes.
Thank you for listening.
In the back.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a gentleman. Yes. Could you step to the podium, please?
I think what they're trying to get at is thinking outside the box. What other possibilities are there? Maybe you could put a crosswalk in there at the cul-de-sac, which would be signed and pavement marking. Probably wouldn't cost that much. Wouldn't affect you with your child. Sign out there, a painting with a crosswalk, yellow lines. That is enforceable. If somebody hits a pedestrian in a crosswalk, they've got big time problems. So maybe, I don't know the area, but maybe putting a crosswalk in. Can of paint and you're done.
What's your name, sir?
Danny McElroy.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, thank you so much.
It's a great suggestion in this situation. The kids aren't gonna. The kids would be not running in the street to begin with if they were going to follow a crosswalk.
Well,
I mean, these
I
are
think
just
the
small
best
kids that
idea
are
is to
chasing
meet
balls.
with the community and come to some sort of a resolution that public safety and also works for the residents.
I think we can find one. I think we're pretty close to that.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you much. Oh, you had another, yes.
Couple more questions, comments I thought of. So just from the tone of the neighborhood, there's a lot of families who are good friends. So a lot of the kids all play together. So it's just going from yard to yard. So it's not, cross here. We're all friends. We all, hang out in each other's yards and such. So the other question I had is, what would be the recommendation when we do have people speeding on the streets? I know some people have called in. There are some vehicles where I know, hey, it's that vehicle every time. I guess both, what is your guidance? And then also, just a thought I had is, what about speed bumps on the street? Those who go slow won't really care. Those who go fast hopefully would care.
Speed bumps has been, some questions has been raised over the years, and there are safety hazards with speed bumps. For example, number one, if you have emergency equipment going, back in that particular area, it slows down the process of, the vehicles getting there. There are other neighborhoods that have them true enough, but they also can enhance an accident if somebody's speeding. That's what I've seen so far.
We've had these requests for the last 15 or 20 years on speed bumps as well, and it's kind of the same thing as the signs. It's posted 25. We can't reduce it 25. So if you hit that speed bump going 25, you put an impediment in the road. And if somebody flies and goes out of control because they are speeding and does even worse damage, we put the impediment there. So you have the cost of putting it in, number one. And again, once you put it in one neighborhood, you're going to put them in every neighborhood.
Bicycles too.
Generally have found that they have not been effective. I mean, some neighborhoods probably love them. I know there's a bill in Ohio that's been introduced by Senator Seitz to prohibit them. I don't know if that ever got any traction, but it was something, but we have not done them.
I used to live on a street in Oakley years ago. They put in speed bumps, and 6 months later, they took them out.
So then on the guidance for at least the known vehicles that at least some people all know that speed more, what would be the recommendation there? And I know one of the residents has already called police once before, so.
We're more than happy to provide, some enforcement there for your speed concerns. We have a list that we get these streets every single day, and understand that it's very hard to actually get the one person at one point because of the timing of when they're coming in and out. I'd like to meet with you and talk with you about the certain individual, and I'll talk to him personally.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, we can also put the
Thanks, Kate.
the radar sign up. I mean,
Correct.
Generally, it's not, right. And
That'll actually survey.
That'll survey what type of speeds we can.
Correct. That's correct.
Does that take pictures of the violators?
We do not have that model, no, sir.
Okay. You say you're
Post it in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Jeff Oakley. I'm at 531 Meadow Trail. I guess a couple things I'd like to point out to you guys who don't live back there and aren't familiar. That neighborhood's been there for 30 years. There's not one accident report for that neighborhood. We'd like to catch our speeder, and believe me, I know who he is too, okay? But, I mean, if it ain't fixed or broke, don't fix it, I mean, we see, we've started with a huge area that we want no parking. We've reduced that because of visibility. I've been there almost 20 years. I've seen all the kids, and there's tons now, and there were none a couple years ago, tons years before that, my kids. We all know back there, you talk about a community meeting, we know. It's our responsibility, that's their street. Our kids own that street. And it's a great place to live, it's a great place for the kids to be raised. And I don't know, I'd just like to see it continue. If there's some law somewhere that says that we need to do something where the parking's concerned, why wasn't it done before? Why does it have to be done now? Like they said, we have large families. If Christmas comes around, there's no place to park on that street. People have large families. We're one of the biggest, us and Chris, I guess, we're two of the biggest. We'll have 10, 15 cars, maybe more, and then 6 more down the street, 8 more down the, you start taking away the parking, that's part of the neighborhood. That's part of the reason we're there. That's part of the reason we moved there. For our kids to have a safe place, and for us to have a great place to have our families gather. So, when you're looking at proposals that change things, I mean, look at the safety records. Nothing's ever happened there.
And I just want to also add that the concern was raised by a person in your neighborhood.
I understand.
And that was brought to our attention, but we're going to explore it, meet with the community, and then we'll move forward from there.
All right.
Thank you for your thoughts and your comments. Okay. Is there anyone else? Thank you.
Okay, well, this is a great segue. Talking about kids, we're talking playgrounds. So we went from parking restrictions to playgrounds. Exciting news, we've talked about relocating a playground up in the Seven Hills neighborhood, and we were able to secure a community development grant for a portion of that, and then also secure a additional grant called Kaboom, and I'm going to let Kim talk about that, and then Kim, you can bring us up to date what's going on with community events.
Thank you. Yeah, Springfield Township was successful in earning $35,000 worth of grants from Kaboom and from the Community Development Block Grant, and we're going to be building that with the help of volunteers in the neighborhood and volunteers with Northminster Church. That playground will go up on August the 8th, and then we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the neighbors in that community with a little back-to-school celebration. So we're excited to kind of put a new piece in that neighborhood. The old playground was left over from Frost Elementary and has well outlived its days. So this will be a really nice piece for that neighborhood. As far as community events goes, this Friday we have our Touch a Truck event that always brings over 1,000 people to our back parking lot to look at all of the construction vehicles and police and fire and stuff. We have our dinner theater on July the 24th. We are doing our third community concert for the summer. We're actually having 3 bands all in one night on July 30th, and that is the day that we are hosting our ball drop event, and our Young Entrepreneurs program is going to be launching their big pop-up restaurant on that night, so that's really exciting. On August the 6th, we're going to be bringing the Cincinnati Civic Orchestra concert to the Grove Banquet Hall. That'll be the final summer concert of the series, and that'll be indoors at the Grove. Again, doing that playground build with the help of residents and neighbors on August the 8th. And then we are doing a dinner theater on August the 21st with a gentleman from America's Got Talent who is a magician. His name is Stephen Knight. A lot going on.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Very good.
A lot going on. You can stay near in your community. That's right. Okay.
But I know the board has copies of the departmental activity reports, so unless there's a question on one of those, that is all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Henning. Let's see, following the agenda. All right, following the agenda, Mr. Honorall, do you have any new business?
We're going to go to the resolutions next.
Well, let's do the resolutions, right, because we have a lot of resolutions. Let's do those. All righty. Our first resolution is number 42, 2015, declaring nuisances pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87 at various listed properties within Springfield Township and authorizing statutory actions necessary to abate the nuisances. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Tell we've been busy with the nuisances based on the weather as well that we're having. The next nuisance is 43, 2015, establishing assessment for abatement and nuisance and certifying same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
This next resolution is the one that we discussed earlier when we had the public hearing regarding the 2016 tax budget. It's resolution number 44, 2015, adopting the 2016 tax budget.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Okay, the next resolution is the one we also indicated earlier when we talked about improvements, in the community and skip projects. So you'll hear, it will appear that you're hearing the same resolution 3 or 4 times, but I will identify specifically which one it's applying to, which project it's applying to. Okay, so if you all will bear with me. This is resolution number 45, 2015. Resolution authorizing Gwen McFarland, Chairman of the Board of Springfield Township Trustee, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. And this resolution is applicable to the Burlington Metals Resurfacing Project. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
The next resolution is number 46, 2015, a resolution authorizing Gwen McFarland, Chairman of the Board of Springfield Township Trustees, to participate and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. And this one is applicable to the Glen Forest Resurfacing Project.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
The next resolution is number 47, 2015, a resolution authorizing Gwen McFarland, Chairman of the Board of Springfield Township Trustees, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. And this one is applicable to Hempstead Drive and Melody Lane Resurfacing Project.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
The next resolution is number 48, 2015, a resolution authorizing Gwen McFarland, Chairman of the Board of Springfield Township Trustees, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. And this one is applicable to Kimber Mill Village Resurfacing Project.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
The next resolution is number 49, 2015, authorizing sale by internet auction of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in the service department.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
And let me make sure I'm correct with this. Number 50, that's the one,
I would
table,
I'm going to
request a
We're gonna table
motion
that.
to
table that one.
Table
Yes.
50, get a motion
Right.
to table it, and then we'll come back if we continue to use it. That way, sequentially, the number will be the same.
Okay,
I will make that motion then that we table a vote on Resolution 50, 2015 until we have further discussion with the residents regarding the parking issue.
okay.
We have a second.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution's tabled.
Okay, and the next resolution is 51, 2015, creating, this is a resolution that we also indicated earlier regarding the trees and the ash trees, and how we can also look at managing trees in the right-of-way as well. And it's creating, resolution number 51, 2015, creating a program for management of trees within the right-of-ways throughout Springfield Township.
And Ms. Abrams, this is
just the first read.
This is
The
just the
first-
first reading,
first
so we
reading.
don't actually have a vote,
Reading by title is what you do, that's it.
and that's it.
That's what we do.
And that's because this is a home rule resolution that requires 3 readings.
Right.
Two.
2.
2.
So we'll
And
have
vote
a
is-
second reading at our August meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm getting through this appropriately. Now, this is the part in the agenda where we come to the old business. Do you have any old business?
I have no old business this evening.
I do not. Okay. Any new business? New business?
Just under new business, I would like to say, on the 4 resolutions that we just enacted tonight pertaining to skip grants, that is the first step in the process. It doesn't mean that all those streets are going to get paved, but what it does is we're directing our staff, we're going to go ahead, we're going to submit all the documentation and paperwork to apply for the grants, and then we're going to see it's a competitive process. We'll see how our particular projects are funded, whether or not we get the points that we need to get the funding to make them necessary. It's a way that we can really leverage taxpayers' dollars and usually get road projects done for maybe half of what they would normally cost us. And so we can stretch our road dollars, which are pretty limited as far as possible. But we're not committing that we have to do all 4. It'll depend on what our budgets are and how much money we have after we've gone through the process and we see where we rank. So I think that's important for people to know. It just doesn't mean we're going to do all 4. It'll depend on what happens.
Excellent point. Do you have any new business? No. I would just, new business I have is our fire department, Springfield Township Fire Department, received an EMS grant award. And I'm very impressed with this because we were awarded $3,500. And I'd like you to talk about how that money is going to be spent and how it's going to save lives. And it could save any of us in this room at any time. So, Rob, could you kind of give us a overview of this?
Yes, ma'am. We apply annually for an EMS grant. It's through the Public Safety Grant. And what it's for is really for training. Mm-hmm. So it will allow us to purchase mannequins that can be used to teach CPR. We also will purchase a variety of airway management type equipment, which are basically it's a mannequin that will allow us to use various tools to insert into the mannequin's mouth for airway management, so we can practice and stay proficient at that skill. It's called intubation, and so that helps us stay proficient at our skill level. But also it's really through training, and we can teach public training as well, and it's also used internally. And we're very excited to get that grant. It's money that will be well spent. And the equipment, it's not new equipment, it's replacing equipment that we've just worn out because we use it so often, and there is a demand for that equipment. And we use it, and we've worn it out, and so now we're going to replace it with new and improved equipment so we can stay proficient.
That's great. Now, is the equipment, is it computerized just to measure the effectiveness of the individual skills when they're doing the intubation or resuscitation?
This particular equipment is not, and I say that because it's only $3,500. The equipment that you're referring to, anytime you put a computer on it, where it gives you readouts and simulates various medical emergencies, now you're getting into big money.
More than $3,500.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So what's nice about this is that the equipment is portable. We can take it to civic groups. We can take it out to the people to train them. They don't necessarily, it's not restricted to the firehouse. So it's portable equipment, and we can teach these classes just about anywhere.
That's good to know.
And it ties into our mission, really, of education and prevention. And so we're excited to get that new equipment.
And is this applicable for not just adults, but children as well? Or just adults, right?
Most of the time, it's young adults.
Young adults, okay.
But we're not going to pass, we're going to turn anybody away. We use it quite often for Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts that are working on their first aid badges. We now incorporate CPR. So if you look at a Cub Scout or a Brownies, I think now, what is that? Is that 7, 8 years old? I mean,
Something like that, yeah.
so we're teaching CPR really as young as 7 or 8 years old.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Just so excited about it.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda now is, it's an opportunity if we have anyone that would like to address the trustees. This is the opportunity for citizen participation. And what I'd like to just reiterate is whomever has some comments when you step to the podium, if you would state your name and your address, and also requesting those in the audience to abstain from discussing or speaking or talking about anything, because we want to be able to hear the person at the podium. So, in due respect, let's abstain from discussion in the audience. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to come to the podium and speak with the trustees? Yes, sir.
I get to come to the podium only because I missed the first part of the meeting, that I was interested in the solid waste proposal. Was there any documentation that you had tonight that I missed that I could get a copy of?
Can you give me your name and address?
Danny McElroy, 1939 Broadhurst Avenue,
Great, thank you.
Cincinnati, Ohio, or Springfield Township, 45240. So
Well,
I'm
yes, sir,
assuming
to answer your
He's going to send
question,
me some documentation?
Chris will. You get it
Yes.
for you.
Get with
Yes.
me after the meeting, I can get you a copy of the PowerPoint. It's
Okay.
actually on our website as well, isn't it, Kim? Okay. We can put the information on our website, or I can actually give you a copy of it, however you.
If you could give me a copy, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll talk to you after the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name, once again, is Jacob Williams. I live at 9530 Costa Drive, and what that does, it abuts the cemetery, Beech Grove Cemetery. And over the amount of time I've lived there, I've grown accustomed to that place, as the song says. It's very close to my heart. I go to the church next door, and what I've found out is I'm a volunteer. The word volunteer is a powerful word. I've been doing some volunteer work, and I went out and reached out to the community. There's head football coach at Winton Woods High School, head football coach at Princeton High School, superintendent of Princeton schools. They're aware of what my efforts have been, along with the people at the church. Now, I'll get on with this before it sounds like I'm pounding my chest, because I'm not. These people are dead. They need someone to speak for them. There's a lot of vandalism goes on over there. Trees that you talked about, there's trees over there that could fall on one of these poor guys cutting the lawn any minute. I do want to interject there. The guys have done a great job maintaining the grass. They have done a great job. Matter of fact, they woke me up this morning. But that's one time I don't mind getting awakened to hear those buzzers going on, making sure that cemetery's right. But these coaches that I spoke of, they're willing to take. They got muscle. Between those two football teams, they got plenty of muscle. They can upright some of these gravestones. Again, we don't know what the liability is or whatnot. We don't even know if it's appreciated. I understand there's some technical issues with the, excuse me, but I like to call them Mitt Romney types. I don't swear at anybody, but these technical issues, hey, they're there and they're going to be there. But when you got people that's going to volunteer, 2 football teams, I wouldn't be surprised if they could bring cheerleaders with them too. Well, you know, but all I'm saying is we know these people are dead. I've personally been over, you know, looking at it. I can count about 125 veterans' graves that are over there. Now, you got Arlington National Cemetery, and that's fine. But these veterans' lives is just as, you know, memorable as the ones that's over in Arlington National Cemetery. And I just don't think, this is just me talking now, I just don't think a BS technicality weighs enough of a reason to ignore people that want to help do something for that cemetery. I know the bank holding liens is not a BS technicality. Again, all those stories with the bank, I'm not aware of, but I know you all are. And I know you all know there's probably every good reason in the world to let that cemetery keep collecting tumbleweeds like it's been. But as far as I'm concerned, I've done what I could. I've went to my friends, like I said, Coach Parker, Coach Johnson. I've went to my friends, but as far as I'm concerned, if that place collects tumbleweeds, it's going to be over my dead body. And I'll get on out your way.
Mr. Williams, I am so glad that you're standing here because we have good news. We have been working over the past 2 to 3 years and trying to get that property, acquisition that property, so that we can continue to respect those individuals that are there. And I've played a vital role in that as well. I'm working with Senator Sykes and Senator Kearney, and they did a lot as far as helping us move forward in that particular area. We now, we've gone down through Hamilton County, the court system, the legal system, and with the prosecutors as well. We now have access to that property. I thought we had about 30 days and we'll find out. But we are working on that. And Chris, can you give us an update? Because I'm about 3 weeks behind in it, but we're working on that. And I would love to talk with you after this meeting about those individuals that you have standing waiting to step forward and help us with that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McFarland. As you mentioned, obviously, there are a lot of things that have been going on with that property which may have impeded individuals' ability to do something with it. Obviously, as a local government, we can't authorize people to go on to someone else's property. That's essentially trespassing. We didn't own the property. We still don't, actually, to this day. Ms. McFarland's right. She was very instrumental in getting some laws changed at the state of Ohio that would allow us to sort of take down some of those obstacles, at which point we're just several weeks away from now actually being in ownership of that property and being in a position where we can authorize some of the things that you're asking for, where we couldn't before when we weren't in ownership of it. To the point where we actually had state law change that allow us to do that. The prosecutor's office right now, just as an update, we are still waiting for the prosecutor's office at the county to actually finalize the deed and do the conveyance to the township. That's where it stands. The Board of Revision has approved the transfer of the property to the township, and we took that through the tax foreclosure process through the Hamilton County Land Bank or Land Utilization Program. And it's, again, a little more bureaucracy and red tape, but the county prosecutor's office is right now, it's at their desk and is waiting for the title to actually be conveyed to the township, at which point we'll be in a much better position to work with you in getting some of the things that you're concerned about addressed.
And their neighbors, your neighbors in that particular area have been involved, and I've been in contact with them as well. And again, I cannot tell you how hard we've worked collectively as trustees to be able to come in and make changes with that particular problem. And when I stepped out, I said, we've always respected those individuals there. Now we're able to demonstrate how much we are respecting it, because it's our responsibility, because we are responsible for cemeteries, but there's some legality and strategic things that we are working through. So I would love to meet with you after the meeting and give you some more information and keep your name on a list, because there are other individuals who are interested, because it's a historical site, and we want to keep it maintained in a respectful manner. And we've also, working with our Road and Service Department, we've reached out to other entities that's going to give us some feedback on how we can continue to enhance the appearance of that cemetery as well. So there's some really promising things that's coming forward, and I think you'll be proud of it as a neighbor. Thank you.
And for anybody that's here that's like thinking, what is this all about? This is the cemetery over on Fleming
Road.
And it's been there for a very long time. And it was originally established by a group of people who came together to form this association for, burial purposes, and they created the cemetery. But a lot of the original members, and there was a group of churches that were involved in it. It's all kind of fallen by the wayside to where there was not the kind of oversight and the money and resources going into the upkeep of the cemetery. And so as a township, we have a statutory responsibility to maintain cemeteries in our township. And also because it was the right thing to do, we stepped up a couple years ago and said, what do we have to do to get control of this thing? Because it was a legal quagmire. I mean, Laura looked into it, and there was nobody even to give it to us if they wanted to. And so I know, Gwen, you've worked hard to get state law changed to where we could be in a position to get the thing deeded to us. There's some blighted properties on, structures on there that we're going to be dealing with. We're trying to get some money from the Hamilton County Land Bank and to work with raising those. And so again, it's going to be a much better place when we get done.
And it's a team effort, and, Laura did it, and I can't tell you how many nights I kept her up, badgering her with questions, and then she also paved the way through the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. She opened up some doors that were closed for us, and then when we sat down and we met with Bill Seitz and Eric Kearney, Senator Kearney and Senator Seitz, the doors continued to open for us. So I'm very optimistic that it won't be long, hopefully, that you'll see a difference in that particular cemetery. And we've worked with the service department, and they're excited. They're waiting too. So we're just kind of on hold and waiting to exhale, so that we can move forward on that. Did you want to share something?
I was just going to say, I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Williams a few weeks back.
Oh,
and
good.
then we walked the cemetery. So I've got his contact information, and we've got a pretty good rapport that we've developed. So he's more welcome to reach out to me anytime. Questions, I can meet with him.
I like
hit
that.
the ground running.
And I've walked it with them several times. So definitely we're going to keep you in the loop as well.
Well, that's fine. I mean, football season is about to start, and once football season starts, these guys are not going to be there.
Right. But you understand, we can't have them go on somebody else's property.
I understand. I just want it to be known that we do have volunteers who are willing to put back and shovel.
Absolutely. Thank you. Right. Definitely we'll be working with you.
I'm not trying to say anyone's head should go over. Maybe you guys can ask Barack Obama what he thinks. Marry somebody.
Well, and we've made contact with families who have loved ones there as well. So we're all waiting, to move forward. And thank you so much for bringing that discussion here tonight to the meeting. So a lot of people don't realize the rich history and the culture that we have in that cemetery in Springfield Township. And it actually affects everybody in Springfield Township, not just that particular area. Thank you.
Before we move on this, I just want to say, everybody said a little bit about what's happening here. I just want to say how far the board went on this, because I don't know that you're touting your horn enough, but we went from a property that was absolutely in disreputable condition and had no verifiable owner. I mean, no one owned that. And what happens under Ohio law with cemeteries, if no one owns it, the township gets it with all its obligations and all its problems by a matter of state law. This property had, at the time, $250,000 of debt attached to it. So if the property came to the township on that day, and there was a lien for some equipment as well for like $40,000 or something, who puts a lien on a cemetery? But anyway, it had all of that. So the township was going to get that at least $250,000, almost $300,000 in debt, and then have to maintain it, which is a huge financial burden. So instead of taking it that day, which we couldn't do anyway because we had to try to find an owner, we went through this long, involved process of getting the statute changed. Bill Seitz was absolutely wonderful. Eric Kearney was absolutely wonderful. So that now any township who has this problem doesn't have to take cemeteries with that huge tax debt. So we're going to get this property when we get it, but the building's taken down, not at the township's cost, which would have been another $20,000, $30,000. So we're going to get that. It won't cost the township a dime to have done that. We didn't have to do the legal work to sue to get it. So with a lot of sweat and tears and time and talking to a lot of people and getting legislation changed, we're going to get this property, which would have cost us in excess at this point. I don't even know what the taxes are at this point. The last time we looked, it was in excess. it's probably in excess of 300,000 now with the penalties and interest and fines. You know, we're gonna get that for nothing and have the building, get it with the buildings there. So that money can then, instead of being used to pay a past tax debt that wasn't ours, can be used to help, well, not that we have that money sitting there, but there'll be money to help work on that cemetery. So once we get ownership, then there's a lot of things that can be done.
And we're
But
looking forward
we
to it.
couldn't do, we really kind of stretched it with what we are doing by maintaining it. I mean, we went about as far as we can go legally since we didn't own it. And there was nobody to contact. There were some really big-hearted people trying to do it, but they couldn't do it. It's a huge tax. So I just want everyone to know that this was going to be a $300,000 burden on this township, and now it's a $0 burden, and it's because of a lot of hard work.
Zero
going
initially.
forward,
Yeah,
yes.
Going forward, it's going to be a huge burden.
Yes.
Because,
Right,
as
but
you know, we have a service department that's already taxed to the limit to begin with, and we're adding another, but we have that responsibility under Ohio law, so we will have the responsibility to maintain it. We sort of have been, and we basically have been doing that, so it's not going to be new. For the last 3 or 4 years, we've
We've
been
been doing it under new
trying to
tax
keep
law.
it in much better condition than it was.
And there are individuals waiting to see what they can do to help. We just have to get through the legalistic aspects. And I'm so glad you said that, Laura, too, because it not only helped us and benefited Springfield Township, but at the state level, other townships and villages that perhaps were dealing with a similar issue, it helped them too. So thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming you have something similar with Smiley Cemetery, just over on Middleton. I'm assuming you know that now?
Yes,
The new
yes.
sign came up recently, and I didn't know if the township actually owned it, and you actually put a little piece of fence up.
Yes, yes.
We do.
Smiley's a smaller cemetery, but yes, we do.
Very
Thank you.
small.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? Thank you. I want to just, oh, excuse me. So sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't hear very well.
That's okay. I've been told.
It's been a good meeting, I ain't heard yet, but.
Oh,
My wife, you know, I mean, we just, you know.
And I've been told that I talk.
Sometimes I hear her, sometimes, most times I don't.
I've been told I have a big mouth, so you know, my mouth isn't as large as
I ain't
people
gonna go
accuse me.
there.
Wise man.
Anyway, where'd I start? Well,
Your name and
Your
address.
name and,
we had a lady over here in Force, huh?
your name and address.
Name and address?
Yes, sir.
Don Guthrie. I live off of Golden 14K Street over here.
Beautiful.
Hootie-Po. Yeah, old man Hootie-Po owned that when I bought out here. So anyway, we used to take care of a lady up here at Forest Park up here after her husband died. And my wife would take care of her a lot, and I would mow the yards and you know, keep up the outside. And one day she called us up, and she was really excited. Come and see what I got. Well, we went over to see what she had, and she had a little flag out there, a beautician award for her yard. Well, that's neat, and I think that's something that we need here. My wife and I have been putting a lot of time and effort in our place over there. We're over on Brightview. We get a lot of comments quite often. We've got neighbors that come down, oh, I got to bring my sister down, I got to bring my cousin. They want to see it, and they look at the front, and they look at the back, and just get, you know, it makes you feel good. I think that we should have something like that going on in our neighborhood also. I mean, this township also, Springfield, just like Forest Park and whoever, the rest of them that does that stuff. I think by us putting that much time and effort in our place to make it look decent, that I've seen a lot of our neighbors are also now trying to improve their places now. It's rubbing off on them, and that's good. And I've seen a lot of things, good and bad, over the past 50 years in that neighborhood since I've been there. And right now, it's a heck of a neighborhood overall.
I'm not scared to go to bed at night and leave my doors wide open, you know? I can leave anything in my yard, nobody bothers nothing or anything else. I don't worry about nothing. Of course, all the neighbors look out for me because they know that they all know me, but, you know. So, and then here, I don't know, a couple months ago, they came over and swept our streets. That's the first time they've done that in a couple of moons. I thought that was pretty neat also. I'd like to see just a little bit more of that. Been a long time since I've seen them come out and do stuff in our neighborhood over there. So, you know, I just thought that would be interesting, you know, especially when she did that, and we put, you know, like I said, we put a lot of effort in that thing. I just thought it'd be neat. I don't know what's involved in it to have something like that, but I think it'd be worthwhile. I think it'd encourage more people to fix up their places, really, you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guthrie. And, you know, what you're talking about is a beautification award. Yeah. And we'll look into that and see if maybe, we'll look into that to see if maybe there's a way we could have some kind of award like that throughout the township.
I think it'd be neat.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guthrie.
Watch that cord.
Is there anyone else? I like thoughts like that. I like that. Seeing that there's no one else, and you all have embraced us and spent a nice evening with us, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming to our meeting this evening and also sharing some of your thoughts and concerns. I think the outcome has been really good. We've put together a community meeting. We're going to look at beautification in our communities, Mr. Guthrie. And we're going to also update everyone on where we are with the Beach Grove Cemetery. So again, thank you very much for attending the meeting tonight with us. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I always say, you don't have to wait until we have a meeting. Call us. That's what we're here for. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.